Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Namaste. In the course of legal research methods and methodology, in our previous lecture, we discussed about the two methods of data collection. The first was the observation method, and then the second was the interview method. Now today, in this lecture, we will discuss the questionnaire method of data collection and the role of questionnaire and schedule in the legal research. So in this lecture, we are going to cover questionnaire, constructing a questionnaire, length of the questionnaire, relevance of the study to the respondent, relevance of the question to the study, selection of the respondent, types of questionnaire and types of questions, framing of questions and sequence of questions, format and layout of questions, and also the use of scale in questionnaire and question wordings, schedule and conclusion. Let us begin with what is questionnaire. In survey research, the data is gathered by using the three type of methods. The one is observation method, the second is interview method, and then the third is questionnaire method. Our today's discussion is on the questionnaire method. So questionnaire is a device for securing answer to the questions. This is device. We call questionnaire a device for securing the answer to the questions. Now, this device is in a form of print or maybe typed form which the respondent fills in. So, questionnaire basically contains a set of questions and the researcher want to collect the response of that questions from the respondent. So, it is sometime mailed to the intended respondents, or it can sometime it can be given personally to the respondent. So information can also be obtained through electronic administering questionnaire. Nowadays the Google Doc and the questionnaire in the Google form is very popular among the researchers. So it is very easy and very convenient to send the Google form, the questionnaire in the Google Doc to the concerned respondent, and they fill the questionnaire and then they send it back on the same mail ID. Now, questionnaire as a technique of information collection is widely used in social research. But it is not that the questionnaire is only used in a social research. Questionnaire technique is also used for the collection of data in the legal research. So whether the legal research is based on the theoretical or some doctrines, or maybe the legal research when it is based on the field study, in both type of study or a research in the field of law, the data can be collected by using the questionnaire. See, by using this questionnaire, when the data is collected by the researcher, in legal research, he collect the information about what is the opinion, what is the belief, what is the feeling, what is the perception, the liking, the disliking or knowledge of any certain matter by the respondent. So it means that when a researcher, he either mailed or in a person give that questionnaire to fill by the respondent, he want to know about the answer of a specific issue or problem which he want to address in his study, or the problem whose answer he want to get from the responses from the respondent. Now, if we see a very simple definition given by Krishna Kumar, he said that a questionnaire is a written document which is listing a series of questions. So, in a simple way, we can say that questionnaire is a list, and this list is having a series of questions. Now, these questions are pertaining to the problem under the study. So, the researcher, on the basis of his research problem or the topic, he framed he prepared a list of the questions, and these questions are in the form of questionnaire are given to the respondent, and then respondent fill that questionnaire. Moving further, now this is very important part, that how a researcher has to prepare the questionnaire. So we are talking about how the questionnaire can be constructed by the researcher. See, this is a very, very important phase during the research, that when researcher has to be framed, when he has to be prepare questionnaire, he should be very, very clear about the topic he want to study, and he should be very, very clear about the issues or the problems on the basis of which he want to collect the information. It means that researcher must have reviewed the literature so well that he has a very clear understanding that what type of questions are required to be asked from the respondent. Now see, it is mentioned that the purpose of this type of data gathering technique is to obtain valid and reliable information. Now, from where the researcher get valid and reliable information? It is only possible if the researcher has done a very detailed review of literature. If he has done a very detailed review of literature, then the researcher is very much clear about that what kind of a question he has to be asked, because from the question which has been framed by the researcher in the questionnaire, those questions will definitely provide a very valid and reliable information if they are up to the problem which the researcher want to address. And the purpose of this data collection technique is also to test the hypothesis. It means, for example, that researcher want to pursue his research, or he has framed the hypothesis that the human rights of refugees are protected in India. So this is the statement, this is the hypothesis he want to verify after collecting the information. So in a questionnaire, he framed the questions related to the human rights of refugees in India. Now, there was one question which he asked in his questionnaire, that are you getting the freedom to move in the area or in the geographical area where you are living? Yes or no? Are you getting the right to health, or are you getting the facilities like the citizens of this country where you are living in that particular setting or in geographical area? There are so many questions the researcher framed which are related to the basic human rights of anyone. So in this way, we can see that researcher tried to frame the questions by the end of the study. When he collect all the data, he might be get the answer from the information he gathered through this questionnaire, that actually the human rights, the basic rights of the refugees are protected in India or not. So it means that when he has to be test the hypothesis, he must prepare, he must gather the information that is valid and reliable information. So it is very essential for the researchers to have a very clear understanding of the problem under study. So the very clear understanding of the problem means that he must have a very detailed reviewed literature. Otherwise, there might be the possibility that he might not get the answer or information up to the problem which he actually want to address in the study. So, and then next we will see that what are the major steps which should be followed when the researcher is trying to construct the questionnaire. See, the first is that he has to be determining the scope of the questionnaire. What is the scope of questionnaire? What he want to address in the questionnaire. Second is deciding the type of question. So we will discuss after a few minutes that what are the close-ended question and what are the open-ended question. So while he was preparing the questionnaire, he has to be very clear on this particular point number 2, that he has to be decide in the very beginning that what kind of a question he want to address. Because if he is pursuing the quantitative type of a study, he has to be convert all the information into the data, into percentile, into percentage. So he will try to ask the close-ended question. So the maximum question he want to be asked will be the close-ended question. So open-ended questions sometimes also become the part of the close-ended questions, but that we will discuss that later. Then preparing the draft questionnaire. Now this is very, very important. Before the researcher, he actually went to the field to collect data. Sometimes the researchers, they conduct a pilot study to know that the questionnaire they have framed is up to the mark, whether the question they want to ask from the respondent, they are actually the respondent are actually able to understand the questions or not, like this. So preparing the draft of questionnaire, then pre-testing the questionnaire with the sample population. As I said, that they try to circulate the questionnaire among a few number of respondents, and then after getting that response, they might be the researcher might do some amendments, some changes in the list of the questions. Then revising the questions according to the suggestion received, and then distributing of the questionnaire to the actual sample. Now actual sample means initially they pick a small number of group, they maybe change little bit or very minor changes has been made by the researcher in the questionnaire, and then finally when he is pretty sure now that these are the questions I have to be asked from the respondent, then he will distribute the questionnaire to the actual sample, and then sending reminder to the population under study that you please return back the questionnaire, that we have to be complete the work. Receiving the responses, analyzing and interpreting of the data received, and then writing report. So one by one we discuss all the steps, and we try to understand that what are the way the questionnaire work. See, what is the length of questionnaire? So there is a kind of a myth, or we can say that this thought is very common among researchers, that the questionnaire should not be very lengthy. Then few of the researchers, they are of the opinion that questionnaire should be bit lengthy to collect the exact data or accurate data. So actually there is no prescribed format or a length of a standard questionnaire. However, it depends on the nature of the problem researcher want to address. So it means the length of the question will also depend on the issue or the problem which the researcher want to address. So when we talk about the length of the questionnaire, there is no standard format that the researcher should ask only 10 questions, or maybe the 15 questions, maybe the 25 questions. No, it's not like that. It is totally depend on the nature of the issue or the problem researcher want to address in the questionnaire, or he want to be collect information through this questionnaire to come to the conclusion or findings. So length of the questionnaire is depend that what type of the question researcher want to ask. Now, what is the guiding principle to be followed in the questionnaire? It should be self-explanatory, means that researcher should frame the questionnaire that the question itself explain that what is the meaning. It means that respondent not need to ask anyone that what is the question and what I am supposed to be write in the answer of these questions, right? Now the question should be restricted to close-ended. As I already said, that if researcher want to get a quantified data, he has to be conclude the information, he has to be interpret the information in maybe percentage, that this much % people are of the opinion of this. So question should be restricted to close-ended. As much as possible, close-ended questions should be asked in the questionnaire, as open-ended questions could receive vague and incomplete responses. It happens sometime, and again this is really difficult to interpret the questions, the open-ended question, because in open-ended questions the respondent, they have given or they have mentioned their point of view, their idea about a particular question, but it is also become a part of some even in the close-ended question, because in sometimes the close-ended question is like, are you smoke? The question will be definitely yes or no. So if the question is no, then the next question has no relevance to the respondent. But if the answer is yes, then the next question will based on the yes or no. So why you smoke, right? Then he might be answer this question. So it means that all the respondent, they might have their own version to explain that why they are smoking, or why they are not in a situation to quit the smoking, like this. So sometime it happens. So we cannot totally deny that, you know, one should restrict it to the close-ended question, but it is suggested or advisable that if possible, please be strict your questionnaire, be restrict your questionnaire with the maximum with the close-ended question. So attractive layout of the questionnaire is necessary. Yes, this is very important, because it also help in completion of the questionnaire. And proper instruction should be provided to the respondent in filling up the questionnaire. These instructions are very, very important, that respondent must have an idea that whether he can fill the questions or tick mark, he has to be tick mark, or he has to be, you know, point out the cross in front of the options, the multiple options if the researcher has given in the questionnaire. Now let us understand that what is the relevance of the study to the respondent. Relevance of the study to the respondent itself give us an idea that the respondent of this questionnaire will be the person who actually well acquainted with the issue or problem, right? So important fact researchers should keep in mind is that response rate in questionnaire survey is not always satisfactory, and the possibility is there that there are people who are not interested to fill the questionnaire. The possibility is there that the people they are not having the actual understanding of the problem, so this questionnaire is not for them. The people who, or the respondent who don't want to fill the questionnaire, they might have their own reason that they don't want to be you know, fill the questionnaire. So researcher must sure that study is interesting and has a definite academic and social value. Now this is again important. So one researcher cannot frame the, you know, the statements or the hypothesis research questions which later after completion of the study that will not of a worth, or that will not come with some suggestion or a finding for the betterment of the society. So for the research in the law field is concerned. So the purpose and the goal of the study must seem relevant and worthwhile to the respondent. Researcher should clearly explain and justify the objectives of the study. So respondent must feel motivated to answer the question if researcher attach a cover letter to this questionnaire. So when the questionnaire sent with the cover letter, then the chances or a probability or the chances are there, respondent might feel motivated by the objective which is mentioned in the cover letter, why the researchers choose the respondent to answer the question or to fill the questionnaire. So the chances of getting the responses in increased number is also possible or feasible if the cover letter is also attached with the questionnaire. Now see, what is the relevance of question to the study? What is the relevance of the question to the study? So each question included in the questionnaire should be relevant to the study, and this is absolutely important. And for this, the review of literature is very, very important method, or we can say the way to frame a very good questionnaire. Relevance of question to the study. So whatever question the researcher want to ask, that should only be confined to his study. His study means he has to be restricted himself while framing the questionnaire only to the issue, research problem, or the question he is addressing in his project, dissertation, or article. Why so? Because obviously if the researcher asks wrong or irrelevant questions, and then it will create a serious flaw, because they will not of the worth when he try to interpret the data and when he try to test that whether the hypothesis is approved or not, approved or disapproved. So careful selection of the area of research where information is needed is the basic rule. It means that each question should be framed with the aim of obtaining information. This is very important for all the researchers to keep in mind, that this question should be framed with the aim of obtaining information, with the aim of obtaining the information the researcher need. Because unless the researcher don't get the information through the questionnaire, he might be not able to reach to some conclusion or with some findings. And that's why whenever the questionnaire is framed each question should be addressed to collect some kind of information from the respondent. Now moving ahead, what is the relevance of question to the study again? As the Valley advice is instructive. What is it? If you cannot decide questionnaire, method of data collection in advance, how the data will be used, do not ask the question. Do not ask the question. This is what, and here I want to emphasize this again, that researcher must have to review literature in detail and in a very in-depth manner to frame questionnaire. The framing of a questionnaire is not an easy job. So if researcher thought that, okay, I have framed the objective, now I have the research question, and on the basis of that, or I will now prepare the list of the questions, it is not possible, because he has to keep update himself with the latest literature, whatever is available during the research, and that may also reflect in the framing of the questionnaire and in the listing of the question he want to address. So the relevance of question to the purposes of the study is important for several reasons, because respondent may find it the waste of time or to answer the question. Sometimes they don't want to answer the questions, and sometimes there is actually no relationship between the question the researcher want to ask and the purpose of the questionnaire. So further, we have to see that who will be the respondent. Who will be the respondent? Who will fill this questionnaire? Who will answer the question? So selection of respondent to collect the valid and correct, accurate information is also very important part of this method of data collection. So researcher has to select the possible categories of respondent which may be expected to reply, and whose information, whether based on facts, opinion, attitude, perceptions, may be useful for the purpose for which the information is needed. Let us start with one question. For example, researcher want to know the status of the women who are working in the private schools, and in this research he framed a questionnaire which he is supposed to be circulate among that women which are actually working in the private school in that particular geographical area or the universe of his study. Now, the selection of respondent is very important there. His study is confined on that what is the status of women, whether they feel that they are economically independent, whether they feel any kind of sexual harassment at their workplace, or whether they are actually getting support from their family or from the husband, how they manage their household chores and the job. I mean, if this is his area of research, then certainly the respondent will be only the women who are working in the private schools. It means that he cannot circulate this questionnaire or send this questionnaire to all the women who are working in private schools or government schools. So he has to be identify that who is his respondent. So the selection of respondent is a very, very important task the researcher has to be do, because this is very important to collect the exact and accurate information. What type of people should be selected? As I said, this is essentially depend on the basic objective of the study. So if the objective of his study is to understand the status of the woman, whether they feel the economical status of the woman, maybe their social status of the woman, he has to be very much clear that the population of his study will be the women who are working in the private schools. So there is one example on your screen. You can see that, for instance, the question, what are the objectives and aims of the POCSO Act? Now this is the question. It means that researcher he has continuing his study, or he is pursuing his study on the POCSO Act, right? So the person who may be able to express their opinions on the act may be those associated with the legal profession, officials from certain government departments, law student, or the person who may have some knowledge about the POCSO Act, and who have some personal views on the POCSO Act. So I mean, this kind of a question will certainly answered by the respondent who are having understanding or a knowledge about the POCSO Act. So the question is such that not everyone may in the position to answer these questions. So what was our question? Our question was that what are the objectives and aim of the POCSO Act? What are the objective and aim of the POCSO Act? So any XYZ cannot answer this question. This question will only be answered by the person who is either well acquainted with the POCSO Act or who has the knowledge about the POCSO Act. But on the other hand, there may be issues on which almost everyone can give the answer. Now, every individual, he may give answer, he may express his opinion, his idea on that particular question. And you can see the further example. For example, do you think that Delhi's air pollution affect the health of the school going kids? I think there is no need to be specialized in the air pollution. Every XYZ can answer yes. If the AQI is worst, then the day or those time is not safe to send the kids into the school. This question don't need any kind of specialization or any kind of understanding of the air pollution. Everyone knows that if the air quality is poor, the kids should not go to school. This might affect their health. So another important consideration while the researcher has to select the respondent is that respondent education level and his general understanding to the research problem or the question should be taken into consideration, because question involves sometimes the complex or the technical issues which are not suitable for person sometime with the lower education level. So the age of respondent, their gender, maybe their religion, and some special type of research is also taken into the consideration. So selection of the respondent is very, very important part in the questionnaire method of data collection. Now see, what is the type of questionnaire? What is the type of questionnaire? McCorden in 1996, he categorized questionnaires into 3 types. He said these questionnaires are of 3 types. One is mailed questionnaire. The mailed questionnaire. Easy, we know that what is a mailed questionnaire. Then he mentioned the group administered questionnaire. Group administered questionnaire, and then the third is the personal contact questionnaire. Personal contact questionnaire. So the mail questionnaire, this type has a predetermined set of questions, and respondents are provided with the self-addressed stamped envelope to return within 2 or 4 weeks after posting the questionnaire. So mailed questionnaire means the questionnaire is mailed to the respondent with a self-addressed stamped envelope, and then the researcher will wait at least for 4 weeks, maybe more than a month to get the responses back. This type of questionnaire contain covering letter, and as I already mentioned that this is very, very important to increase the number of responses, because this covering letter will explain what is the purpose of the study, what is the objective of the research, and this might be influence a person or the respondent to fill the questionnaire. And then it also requires the respondent for cooperation and assure them the confidentiality of their answers, means their name will never be disclosed while the information will be collected and after the report writing. So this covering letter may be mentioned to maintain the privacy of the respondent. Now mailed questionnaire, sometime in mailed questionnaire respondent take their own time in filling it. So the advantage of this mailed questionnaire is that it cover a wider geographical area. Wider geographical area means the researcher, he can send this questionnaire in any part of the country, maybe in the South India or North India, maybe the Northeast or in the western part of India. So this is a very big advantage of the mailed questionnaire, that respondent will get this questionnaire in South India, maybe in other part of India, and if the study is of his interest, or if there is a cover letter and the researcher has requested that the information if you provide us, it will be your name will remain very confidential, and we want to use this information only for the research purpose, then that will sort out the purpose of the researcher. So it also have a disadvantage. What is that? Low response rate. Yes. So this is a very big challenge in the mailed questionnaire. This is a very big challenge in the mailed questionnaire, that the respondent rarely send the questionnaire responses back. So mailed questionnaire may be filled by someone other is also a drawback, because sometimes respondent not fill the that questionnaire himself. He may give this questionnaire to somebody else, that you please fill the questionnaire. Sometimes he fill the question maybe 6, 7 or 8 questions, rest 5 or 6, 7, 8 questions he has not filled. So the answer may also be incomplete sometime, or sometimes this incomplete questionnaire, it pose a very serious problem because it was difficult to analyze the data. What is this group administered questionnaire? So basically, group administered questionnaire is a questionnaire where the respondent gather at one place. Respondents, they gather at one place and complete the questionnaire. Now this type of a method is basically used by the teacher or the researcher to gather data on any research query. So in this method, researcher can verbally clarify if the respondent have any issue or any problem in understanding the question which is enlisted in the questionnaire. So he or she can explain the respondent if they have any doubt while they are filling up the questionnaire. So group administered questionnaire sometimes is very beneficial to increase the responses from the respondent. Now personal contact questionnaire. Now yes, here the researcher and respondent, they come together, and then questionnaire filled in the presence of the researcher by the respondent. So respondent fill the questionnaire in the presence of the researcher. Now after the types of questionnaire, let us understand that what is the type of questions. What type of questions should be included in the questionnaire? This is very important. This is very important, that what type of questions should be included in the questionnaire for survey research. So there are several ways to phrase questionnaire. No any specific standard format is there to frame the questionnaire, because it is depend on the problem or the issue or the research the researcher want to pursue, and so the type of question will certainly depend on the issue or a problem or the opinion researcher want to get from the researcher want to get information from the respondent. So the choice of question also depend upon the topic of research. It depends on the topic of research. It depends on the target population. It depends on the universe of the study, because survey questions can be grouped into 2 categories: open-ended question, close-ended question. Open-ended question and close-ended question. Now see carefully, what are the open-ended questions? Open-ended questions give liberty to the respondent, to express their views, but it is really difficult to quantify the data of the open-ended question. We'll understand this how. See, the open-ended question, they give a respondent to liberty to express their views. So they give very tremendous freedom to the respondent to answer according to their own interpretation. Means the researcher framed a question. Now how the respondent understand the question and how he answer that question, that will be question to address, or that the researcher has to be understand. So see one example of an open-ended question. Can you suggest some ways to further improve the use of internet in your research? Now the researcher X, Y, Z, the 3 of them, they might have their own point of view on the improve of the use of internet in research, right? Now the another question, what do you think is the main factor in drug abuse among young people? These X, Y, Z, they might have their own opinion about this question, and they maybe write down the answer as per their own point of view on the same. So advantages of the open-ended question is unanticipated answer can be obtained from the respondent. Now this is again very important, because sometimes the answer given by the respondent give a thought provoking idea to the researcher. Okay, this is also possible, and then researcher can get the real views of the respondent. Respondent can give their views in their own language, reflecting creativity, self-expression and richness of the detail. And such answer reveal the logic of the respondent. Now, what is the logic of the respondent about some particular issue or a problem? That can also be revealed, because this is the platform where the researcher is, where the respondent is free to express his point of view on that particular issue. And then there is also some disadvantages of the open-ended question. Responses can be vague, irrelevant, not to the point. Yes, maybe the question was that for how long you have been taken asylum here in India, and the respondent he answered the question, I don't want to be here in India. So this is the question, this is the response which is totally vague, which is totally irrelevant, and this response has no relevance even in the interpreting of the data. So many interpretations of the same question may not lead to valuable analysis. Yes, researcher cannot quantify the data, even if he has to give the interpretation of the responses. So if the 200 respondents were there and 200 people, they have given their point of view on any particular issue, then it is really difficult for the researcher to give interpretation of that the answers which the respondent have penned down in the open-ended questions. Coding of the responses is not possible. Yes, it is not possible. You cannot quantify that data. So we cannot give a code to the responses, and then respondent need more time to answer. Respondent need more time to answer, because he has to be think about the situation. He has to be think about the situation, that what should I write, like this. Disadvantages of the open-ended question: more space is required for answer in the questionnaire. Yes, the researcher has to be left 2, 3 or 4 lines so that the respondent can write down his answer. Now next is the close-ended question. Close-ended questions are best suited for the large-scale survey. They are best suited for the large-scale survey. So if the survey is a large-scale survey, then the close-ended questions are preferred by the researcher. Why so? They are easier and quicker for the respondents as well as for the researcher. Researcher is also comfortable to compile the data if the questions are the close-ended questions, and it will be the chances are more to receive the accurate or very close or very close to the accuracy the information. Then close-ended question also provide with a list of accepted answers, because in a close-ended question the list of answer is also there. So respondent has to pick and choose the right answer. He has to be pick and choose the right answer. Now let us see on your screen. See, there is one example of a close-ended question. The close-ended question is, which one of the factor listed below do you think is the number 1 reason for drug abuse among young people? This is a close-ended question. I just mentioned in bracket, this is a close-ended question. Now in the close-ended question, the researcher has already given some options to the respondent: drugs availability, peer pressure, inadequate parental control, lack of moral values in the family, or social conditions. Now respondent is not start thinking about, okay, what is the reason? He already have the options, he already have the choice that either this, either this, either this, either this, or either this. So the question was, what do you think is the number one reason? So maybe for him the number 1 is the inadequate parental control. Maybe for someone else, for some other respondent, the number 1 reason is the social condition, maybe the peer pressure. So the respondent, they will give the answer from the options which are there in the close-ended question. Let us see one more example of the close-ended question. Now the question is, how would you rate the performance of police in minimizing violent crime against women in recent months? This is a close-ended question. Now the option is poor, below average, average, above average, excellent. So it means that the researcher, he already has given the option to the respondent, and it is very easy for the respondent to choose one of them as per his understanding, as per his knowledge, and then this is easy even for the researcher to codify such kind of information if the question is a close-ended question. Then there might be single choice questions. Single choice question, you can see the example there, the single choice question. These single choice questions are used for some specific questions, like if the question in the questionnaire is asked about the gender, male or a female. So yes, the respondent, he has to be tick either male or a female, or he may be underline the male or a female like this. Then multiple choice question. The two example we discussed in the just 2 minutes back, they were the multi-choice questions. So which of the following computing skill do you have? Word processing, internet browsing, email, etc., database searching, PowerPoint, any other, please specify. Now this is open-ended, but the researcher will specify if any other which is not mentioned in the option given above. So he or she will mention any other also. So the multiple choice questions is where the respondent has an option to take any one. So the question may be single choice question, and question may be the multiple choice question, right? So let us see that what are the advantages of the close-ended questions. Close-ended questions, they are the cost effective, answers of the respondent can be compared, easy to code, and tabulation is again very easy. Performance of the respondent is also very reliable in the close-ended question. So then there is also less number of confused answers, because the researcher, he has already framed the options, and then respondent has to be only tick or say yes or no on the, researcher has to be say yes, no, or he has to be choose the one option of his choice. So there are number of advantages which you can see on your screen. It is easy to code and tabulate, easy for respondent to answer, and less knowledge person can also answer the questionnaire. But there is also some disadvantages of the close-ended questions. Sometimes idea of the researcher are imposed on the respondent. Now why it is mentioned here that idea is imposed on the respondent? Because the researcher has already framed some answers or the options for that question, and respondent has to be choose one of them. So even if he has some his point of view on that particular question, he cannot mention that, he cannot write down anything extra there, because the question is an open-ended question and he has to be only tick the options which are given in the close-ended question. So it is also possible that respondent get frustrated by not getting the desirous option of their choice. Yes, this can also be a reason that sometimes the respondent, they don't fill the questionnaire because the options given by the researcher are not of their choice. And then there are multiple choices from the researcher which may be confusing for the respondent, and that's why sometimes even the close-ended questions not serve the purpose which the researcher want to get from them. So disadvantages of both type of questions can be reduced if there is a mixed kind of a categories. Mean if the some question they are the close-ended question, some question they might be the open-ended question, that can also serve the purpose for the collection of data. Now what is the framing of questions? What is the framing of questions? So Flower in 1987, he has suggested 4 queries to be addressed before finalizing the question, and the very first is the researcher has to be think, is this question that can be asked exactly the way it is written? Is this question that will means the same thing to everyone? And then is this a question that people can answer, or is this a question that people will be willing to answer given the data collection procedure? So when the researcher is going to frame the questions, he has to be keep all these 3-4 points in his mind. The answer should be in a very simple and in a very precise language. The respondent XYZ, whosoever, they understand the question in the same manner or in the same with the same understanding the researcher want to ask the question. So while framing of the question, these 3-4 points the researcher has to be keep in mind. Sequence of question is again very important. So in a sequence of questions, the question should be arranged in such a way that they do not scare the respondent, but he maybe feel comfortable while responding the answer. Then questionnaire should start with the general but with the very relevant question. Means initially the question should not be the specific one which the researcher want to ask from the respondent. For example, question number 1 to 10, they deal with the use of textbooks, then to understand the law. Then this type of instructions, help the respondent to understand the grouping of questions. And if the need arise, relevance of question should be explained to the respondent. If researcher is of the opinion that I should give a little bit idea about the question, then he must also give a hint or idea about the question he want to be asked. Now, after the sequence of question, we have to see the format and layout of the questionnaire. The format of the question and physical layout of the question should be very attractive. It should be neat and easy to follow, because this will actually increase the accuracy and completion of the questionnaire. Because questions, whether mailed or distributed personally, they should have attractive layout to motivate the respondent to answer the questions. And sometime I already mentioned that sometime it is very helpful, it will definitely enhance the chances to collect the maximum information or the responses from the respondent. So questionnaire should leave the respondent with the feeling that she is very, very important, that he or she is very important or competent in the search project, and his participation is much more appreciated. And then after the format and layout of the questions, let us see one example. Example of the question format, if it is a horizontal type. See, question number 1, what is the level of the satisfaction of internet search result? Tick, high, moderate, low. This is the horizontal format. And then vertical format, what is the level of satisfaction of internet search result? Tick, high, moderate, low. So the format and layout of the questionnaire is also very, very important. Now, what is the use of scale in the questionnaire? Now, the questionnaire should be distinguished in such a manner that answer could be easily and quickly analyzed. It should be designed in such a manner that answer could be easily and quickly analyzed. So, some of the question involves some simple calculation of numbers and percentage. So, to tackle other complex issue, scaling technique is used, such as rating scale, rank order scale. They should be used for the complex issues which the researcher has to be tackled. Now, rating scale it is a measuring instrument that require the observer to assign the rated objects to the categories that have numeral assigned to them. Let us see rating scale. So, in a rating scale, you can see that one example there. Do you find the collection in your area of research in libraries you use adequate enough to meet your demands? Now, the researcher, maybe it is excellent, maybe it is very educate, inadequate or poor. Now, in this, the rating scale is preferring these several steps, and the most usual is a simple form of the pro-coded question. So, now in this, the procedure of Likert scale is involved essentially in allocating score of the statement in which the respondent can select a range of responses from very useful to no use. You can see the example. Do you consider conferences, seminar as useful sources of information? If yes, please indicate or tick how useful they have been for your research work. So, the respondent may be said very useful, satisfactory, little use or no use. Now, in this example, see the choices that are most favorable to the use of conference are assigned to the greatest weight, and the least favorable responses, they are assigned to the light weight. So, maybe the respondent finally try to give the numbers like very useful 5, useful 4, satisfactory 3, little use 2, no use 1, or maybe 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, right. Now, moving ahead, questions wording. There should be clear and simple words should be used in framing of the question. No ambiguous or vague words should be used. No sensitive and embarrassing question should be asked. Leading questions, order of the question, contingency questions, and then response format. These are the steps which the researcher has to be considered while he is framing question. So the question wording is also very, very important. So for preparing a good and workable questionnaire, there is no standard practice or set word to be used. But yes, the researcher has to be keep in mind that while he is framing the questions, then the question should be simple, and he should have to be prepare the questions with very carefully, so that each and every respondent will understand the questions. Now, what are the other measures which the researcher has to be keep in mind? Researcher must pay to the attention to the number of other things. The questionnaire should neatly typed, printed with no errors, and then the length of the questionnaire should be such that the respondent should be able to answer the question in roughly in 10 minutes. And next is the schedule. What is the schedule? Schedule is also the tool or instrument which is used to collect the data from the respondent while interview is conducted. The feature of schedule is the schedule is presented by the interviewer. Now, in schedule, the questions are asked and the answer are noted down. It is not like interview. Now, in schedule, the questions are asked by the interviewer and the answers are noted down by him or her. And then the list of question is more formal document. I mean, it need not to be attractive, because the researcher is asking the question and the respondent is answering the question, and the questions they are noted down by the researcher. So the schedule can be used in a very narrow sphere of social research, and the main purpose of the schedule is, the first is to provide standardized tool for observation or interview in order to attain objectivity. Second, to act as a memory tickler, because it is not possible all the time that the researcher he interact or he has an interview with the person and he keep all the things, all the answer in his memories. So it is better to note down the answers or the response of the interviewee. So there the schedule is very, very helpful, and then it also facilitate the work of tabulation and analysis. So essential of a good schedule is content should cover questions and dissectional. A good schedule must have the following features. One is content. It should cover question statement relating to all the significant aspects of the study. Secondly, the schedule should look into the problem analytically, and then schedule suit the context in which it is applied, and then criteria, construction, they are also very, very important. Language and reliability of the information is also very, very relevant in the formation of the schedule. Now, in conclusion, we can say that data is one of the important requirement for any research, and without data, researcher cannot reach to any conclusion, and in his research he would never, and the research would never be completed. So there are various methods and tools we discussed in our last lecture and in today's lecture about the questionnaire method, the observation method, and today we discuss about the questionnaire method, which are very, very important and relevant to collect the information in survey method or maybe in any social legal project or research. So this discussion will certainly help us to understand how to collect data, primary data by questionnaire, and how it should be collected in a systematic form, and how the data can be analyzed later to come to some conclusion. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to this piece of literary snippet. British humour doesn't have a very high standing in the world. When people talk about it, they usually do so with a certain degree of disparagement. Yet all this is, I think, rather unfortunate, because if I read out to you a certain section from Jerome K. Jerome's famous novel Three Men in a Boat, you will realize that not only is British humour genuinely funny, it is probably even better than some of the other samples of humorous writings that you might have read in the recent past. The story that I'm going to read out is told by Jerome, who thinks he is suffering from some kind of a malady. I remember going to the British Museum one day to read up the treatment for some slight ailment of which I had a touch. Hay fever, I fancy it was. I got down the book and read all I came to read. And then, in an unthinking moment, I idly turned the leaves and began to indolently study diseases generally. I forgot which was the first distemper I plunged into. Some fearful, devastating scourge, I know. And before I had glanced half down the list of premonitory symptoms, it was borne in upon me that I had fairly got it. I sat for a while, frozen with horror, and then in the listlessness of despair, I again turned over the pages. I came to typhoid fever, read the symptoms, discovered that I had typhoid fever. Must have had it for months without knowing it. Wondered what else I had got. Turned up St. Vitus's dance. Found, as I expected, that I had that too. Began to get interested in my case and determined to sift it to the bottom, and so started alphabetically. Read up ague and learnt that I was sickening from it, and that the acute stage would commence in about another fortnight. Bright's disease, I was relieved to find I had only in a modified form. And so far as that was concerned, I might live for years. Cholera I had with severe complications, and diphtheria I seem to have been born with. I plodded conscientiously through the 26 letters, and the only malady I could conclude I had not got was housemaid's knee. I felt rather hurt about this at first. It seemed somehow to be a sort of slight. Why hadn't I got housemaid's knee? Why this invidious reservation? After a while, however, less grasping feelings prevailed. I reflected that I had every other known malady in the pharmacology, and I grew less selfish and determined to do without housemaid's knee. Gout, in its most malignant stage, it would appear, had seized me without my being aware of it. And zymosis. I had zymosis evidently from boyhood. There were no more diseases after zymosis, so I concluded there was nothing else the matter with me. I sat and pondered. I thought, what an interesting case I must be from a medical point of view. What an acquisition I should be to a class. Students would have no need to walk the hospitals if they had me. I was a hospital in myself. All they need to do would be to walk round me and after that take the diploma. Then I wondered how long I had to live. I tried to examine myself. I felt my pulse. I could not at first feel any pulse at all. Then all of a sudden it seemed to start off. I pulled out my watch and timed it. I made it 147 to a minute. I tried to feel my heart. I could not feel my heart. It had been beating, but now it had stopped beating. I have since been induced to come to the opinion that it must have been there all the time and must have been beating, but I cannot account for it. I patted myself all over my front, from what I call my waist up to my head, and I went a bit around each side and a little way up the back. But I could not feel or hear anything. I tried to look at my tongue. I stuck it out as far as ever it would go, and I shut one eye and tried to examine it with the other. I could only see the tip, and the only thing that I could gain from that was to feel more certain than before that I had scarlet fever. I had walked into the reading room a happy, healthy man. I crawled out a decrepit wreck. Our friend next visited a doctor, and there he got a prescription which said to eat well, to go for long walks, and not to worry his heads over things he didn't understand. See you in the next episode of Literary Snippets.